Hello everyone, this is Mr. Dollar, also known as Peace Daddy. Today we are in a unit called Fractions Part 2, and we're going to be doing a lesson on common multiples. And our goal is to find out what is the definition of common multiples. We're also going to be talking about proper and improper fractions. So today we're going to learn the difference between those two. What's a improper fraction and what's a proper fraction? You will need some supplies today. The first thing that you will need is a 100 chart, and you can find that by going to Google Classroom. If you're in my class and you're going to look in the Google Classroom Drive folder for a sheet of paper that says multiples, okay, is the name of the thing that you need to look for, is multiples. Additionally, we're going to be using that website, virtualmontessorimimaterials.com. Everything that I do today, you can go to that website and you can repeat the work, which you need to do, and you do it in the section that is called bead bars. So virtualmontessorimimaterials.com, and look for the section that's called bead bars, and you'll be able to do everything that I am doing today. And again, you're going to need the 100 chart. 100 chart just looks like this. You can go anywhere on the World Wide Web and type in 100 chart and click on images if you do a Google search and just print off one of those. You could also go to the Google Classroom Drive folder, and there is a file that looks like this, and it's called multiples. And we've used this before in a different lesson. That's why it's all marked up. But you can use it for this lesson too, because all you need is a 100 chart. All right, let's get going. So I'm going to let you see my rug, and you can start viewing what I've done here. So today what we're gonna do, this is partially a lesson about equivalent fraction and partially a lesson about common multiples, and we're seeing how those two things are related to one another. So when you go to www.virtualmontessorimimaterials.com and you click on the bead chain picture, you can take out a series of 3 bead bars and a series of 5 bead bars like I've done, and I've chosen 9 of each. And if you're in a Montessori classroom, you can take out the little tickets that go with it and use those, you know, the numeral tags, and use those to help you keep track as you're counting by 3s and as you're counting by 5s. And while you're doing that, what you're doing is you're looking for common multiples, okay? The tags that are common, the tags that are the same, are called common multiples. And I'd like for you, after you do that, to write a definition for common multiples in your math notebook. Okay, so let's see what they are. I know it's a little hard to see these tags because they're so small if you're not sitting right here next to me. But the first one is 3. The next one is 6. The next one would be 9. So whether you're drawing this or just making a list, you want to keep track of those multiples, and I'm going to write them along with you on a piece of paper so that I can keep track of them as well. So here's a blank sheet, and I'm going to start with the multiples of 3, and I'm just going to list them. Just make a list. So the multiples of 3 are 3, 6, 9, we said. All right, and you just keep going. 3, 6, 9. What comes next when you're counting by 3s? 12. What's next? 15. What's after that? 18. Next is 21. 24. So you'll end up with a list something like that, right? Multiples of 3. Okay, and now we're going to do the multiples of 5 right below it. And what are we looking for? We're looking for common multiples. We're going to see if any of these are the same. Let's see. So the first multiple of 5 would be 5. The next one is 10. So 5, 10. And I bet you can count by 5s really fast. If you're like anyone else I've ever taught, that seems to be one that's real easy to do. So let's just list them. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, right? And you can just keep going and going and going if you want to. Okay. So we're looking for ones that are common. I don't see a 5 up here or a 3 down here. I don't see a 6 up here or a 10, 9, no, 15. Oh, so there's one. So 15 is a common multiple. Okay, 20, no, 25, no. Oh, now see if I went to 30, I know that I could keep going. I'll make a second row down here. 27 would come after 24, right? And then the next one would be 30. See that? And I knew that because I know that 3 times 10 is 30. So that was an easy one. Okay, so the common multiples, I'm gonna write CM for short, for 3 and 5 are 15 and 30. Okay, 15 and 30 so far. I mean, there's more of them. We could just keep going, right? You could keep going on with the 3 beads. You could just extend this chain out as long as you wanted to, and with the 5 beads. And you'll find that there's lots of them, okay? So what I would like for you to do is find the next 4 common multiples for 3 and 5. Okay, that's your assignment, is to find the next 4 common multiples for 3 and 5 and record those in your math notebook. So this one's the first one. This one's the second one, right? So you'll have a place for the 3rd common multiple, the 4th common multiple, the 5th common multiple, and the 6th common multiple, because I said I want you to find 4 more. So the 3rd one, the 4th one, the 5th one, and the 6th one, and just put them right there. And just make a list. Keep your list going on your paper of the multiples of 3 and the multiples of 5. You can do that. Okay, so that's common multiples. And I said that we were also going to talk about proper and improper fractions. So this one's pretty easy. The only difference between a proper fraction and an improper fraction is if the numerator is larger than the denominator, it's called an improper fraction. So let's say you had a problem like this. 15 ninths minus 7 ninths, right? You saw that problem. And you thought to yourself, it's kind of weird. I don't ever remember seeing a big number like that on the top and then a small number like that on the bottom. Well, because it has a special name, and you need to remember the name, it's called an improper fraction. So let's write that down. So 15 ninths is an improper fraction. And 7 ninths is a proper fraction. So if a fraction is like, most of the fractions that you've seen up until this point, if the numerator is smaller than the denominator, so 7 is smaller than 9, like that, that's called a proper fraction, okay? It's proper. And if the numerator is larger than the denominator, like it is here, see how 15 is bigger than 9? That's called an improper fraction, okay? So, what do? If you do this subtraction problem, or other subtraction problems, where you end up with an answer that is improper, then you have to change it. So let's talk about how to do that. 15 ninths minus 7 ninths is 8 ninths. So 8 ninths is not improper. That's fine, that's a proper fraction. So what would we do if we got something like, let's say we had a problem that was 7/3 plus 2/3. What could you do with that? 7/3 plus 2/3. Well, I've been practicing fractions for a while, so I know that all I have to do is add up the thirds. So this is 7/3 and this is 2/3. So I'm going to end up with 9/3. Okay? And now I can go to the fraction section of www.virtualmontessorimimaterials.com, and I can look at this to see, well, what do I do when I end up with this improper fraction? What does 9/3 look like? Well, 3/3 is going to look something like this, right? There's 1/3, 2/3, 3/3. So that's 1. Okay, so I took care of 3 of the thirds. Okay, let's look at, so I need some more. So I'm going to draw another fraction circle, and I'm going to split it into thirds. So 1/3, 2/3, 3/3, 4/3, 5/3, 6/3. So that's another 1. How much do I need? I need 9/3. So again, 1/3, 2/3, 3/3, 4/3, 5/3, 6/3, 7/3, 8/3, 9/3. So that's another 1. And then that's it. So that would be 1 plus 1 plus 1, which is 3. Okay, so I have changed this improper fraction and made it proper. It's 3. And some people might say, well then, so now it's not a fraction anymore because it doesn't have a number on the bottom, okay? But that's how you change it. You change it so that it's proper, so that this big number is not on the top anymore, okay? So it would be a total of 3. And if it was 10/3, you'd have 1 more third that you would have to add to it. So over here, you could draw something like this, and you could say, okay, now this one I'm not using, and this one I'm not using, but I'm using this one, right? And so you would say, okay, it would be 3 1/3 if it was 10/3. So it'd be a big 3 and then a 1/3 written as a fraction right next to it. Okay, so that's just one example, and I'm going to give you some problems on this. So if you are in my classroom, you need to go to the Google Classroom Drive folder at the end of this lesson, which is just going to be in a few seconds, and you need to look for a sheet that has improper fraction addition and improper fraction subtraction, and you need to complete that sheet. Okay, there'll be a little bit of classwork for you to do on that. All right, so that's been the second lesson of the unit called Fractions 2. And as always, I want to say thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.